This video was brought to you by my wonderful patrons, such as Eve, Vaticus Belmont, Dreaded Cypher, and Timothy Reviews. Now on to the main event. The last Kamen Rider show on television before Kamen Rider Kuuga started was Kamen Rider Black RX in 1989, and between that, Rider became dormant with a few attempts to bring it back with Zeto and J, but nothing really stuck despite the high quality of those movies. However, in the late 90s, Rider had a resurgence in popularity which led to new merchandise and a revival show being produced. Oddly, my minimal research pointed to Sega Sanshiro, a character made to sell the Sega Saturn in Japan, being a big part of why the resurgence happened, since he was played by the original Kamen Rider actor, Hiroshi Fujikawa, which led audiences being reminded of his Kamen Rider days, but it could also be likely that it's just general nostalgia taking its course. Either way, Kamen Rider was back, and the producers of this new show wanted to make a more grounded Henshin hero show in tone with it. There would still be fantastical elements in the show that would lead more towards old civilizations than the science of the Showa era for its origins, but the structure of the show would be akin to popular police dramas of the time. The show had a large focus on supporting characters reacting to the dangerous conflicts between the hero and villains, which is where a lot of the show's pathos would come from. I'd argue no other Kamen Rider series has attempted to do what Kuuga has done and will probably never do it again, which I'm totally fine with, since it gives Kuuga more of a unique quality compared to other Rider series. As for the titular protagonist of this new show, Kamen Rider Kuuga himself, Yusuke Godai, he would be a very simple but charming main character. A wholesome dude with 2,000 skills who wants to make others smile with those skills. While he may not have a traditional character arc where he learns lessons about himself or the world, he does have an interesting struggle throughout the show, holding on to his optimism and good manners in the face of a cynical and deadly world. This ties into one of Kuuga's most infamous scenes where Godai lets all his rage out for all the innocent human life it's taken, which leads to a glimpse of Kuuga's ultimate form when the battle's said and done. You see, ultimate form becomes a concern throughout the series, as while it's Kuuga at its most powerful, it can easily make its user go berserk. However, Godai manages to control ultimate form by the end because despite all the tragedy and hardship he's gone through, he still holds on to his optimism to inspire others. I think this is why Godai asked Ichijo to watch his henshin at the beginning and end of the series, to make sure he's inspiring others with his transformation. Honestly, describing Yusuke Godai on his own doesn't make him out to be exceptionally special, but he is special because of the large side cast he interacts with. I'm not gonna go too in depth with each side character, but Godai's interactions with them, whether it be just chilling out, giving advice to one another, or fighting the villains, have a lot of weight to them, which I can attribute to the acting being excellent. It's one of those shows where everyone brought their all to it and enhanced the material with their performances. Earlier I mentioned a character called Ichijo, and he could be considered the secondary protagonist of this series, starting off as a straight-laced detective, but quickly becoming a close ally of Godai, even risking his position at the police force a couple times to give Kuuga the proper tools to defeat the Grongi of the week. Hell, Ichijo himself gets to take down some of the villains later on, which is very rare for a non-Rider character in this franchise, so huge props to him. Before we talk about those villains, I want to quickly gush about Kuuga's unique way of handling multiple forms. Granted, this was the first series in the Heisei era, so there was no template to follow for this kind of stuff, especially because this was the first series to have more than 3 forms, but even so, I love the way Kuuga handles them. Instead of each form stacking on top of each other, bettering the Rider's skill, and basically being replaced as soon as a new form comes in, each form specializes in a unique combat style, from Mighty Strength, Dragon's Agility, Pegasus's Rage Attacks, and Titan's Slow yet bulky armor, which are all consistently used throughout the entire series run and get new life with the addition of Rising variants to these forms, which add gold accents and gives their specialized skills a boost. Then you have the final form, Ultimate, but that only appears in the final episodes, which gives it extra weight to its story and fight. Even outside of how they're used in the show, these forms all look gorgeous, definitely some of the best Rider designs in the franchise. Now for the villains, in the original broadcast of Kuuga, a lot of the Grongi spoke in an unknown language, meaning not even Japanese viewers knew what they were speaking at the time, but the Kuuga DVDs had the option for Grongi subtitle tracks that translated what they were saying, which in the version included in Shout Factory's streaming release of Kuuga in English, where you like it or not, previously Grongi only dialogue will be translated. I know this was a big turnoff for some people because it removes some of the mystery of the Grongi, but honestly, I didn't mind it since the rest of the show was kept intact, and honestly it's better to have everything fully translated than removing some possible context, just for a hollow sense of mystery. Either way, the Grongi are super cool villains. They see killing humans as a simple game to climb up the rankings of their civilization, not giving a care or second thought about any of the actions they take while doing so. It's survival of the fittest for them. There's quite a few great Grongi, but my personal favorite will be the final boss of the entire show, Daguva. Despite his limited appearances in the show, he is one of my favorite villains in the Kamen Rider franchise. What cemented my appreciation for him was the beginning of episode episode 47, where we see Daguva taunting Kuuga to get stronger and make him smile as he creepily laughs and sets stuff on fire. It's a horrifyingly gorgeous way to showcase how menacing of a villain he is, and how much of a contrast he is to Godai. While Godai and his friends grow together and help each other out, Daguva and by extension the rest of the Grongi are all on their own, willing to sabotage each other if it would benefit them and only them. Overall, I freaking love Kamen Rider Kuuga, and I feel guilty I didn't watch it sooner. While I do understand some of the aspects of the show being hard to watch today, like the pacing and how much the series focuses on the police force, I'd still say most of it holds up really well, from the action choreography to the relatable themes about growing up. Whether it be your first Kamen Rider show or your next, Kuuga is a must-see in the franchise's wide catalog of content.